Hey guys, what? Hey guys, Lao86 here. You know, I was digging through some of my old footage and old pictures and stuff because I'm getting ready for this huge trip, and they want bios and all that kind of stuff from me. And I actually got really bitten with a nostalgia bug, and it's messing with me because I'm just kind of harking back and remembering the old times I had in China. Man, it's just not the same place as it used to be. So I actually started a series, I think 3 years ago, called Story Time. And what I'll do is I'll just put up some of maybe my old riding footage or things like that, and just tell you some of the stories about, you know, some of my experiences in China that really shaped who I am today, and kind of, you know, the experiences I had and all the crazy stuff that happened. Today's story, my little grandchildren, is called The Day I Joined the Russian Mafia. Now, I actually didn't join the Russian Mafia, but let me tell you what happened. A lot of you my really early subscribers might know this story, and I'm going to tell you this one first. When I was in Inner Mongolia, I had absolutely no idea how rough it was going to be. Now, the city that I went to, called Bauto, if you look at my first video, is actually, I was in the city of Bauto, Inner Mongolia, and it was, I didn't know what to expect, but Chinese people kept telling me, it's really rough up there, you gotta be careful, everyone has knives and stuff, and I was like, what are you talking about? You know, that sounds ridiculous. And when I got there, it actually seemed like a pretty drab, fairly relaxed, laid-back place, and for the most part it was. But the things that happened there sporadically just completely threw me for a loop sometimes. There was a new teacher. I was head of the what's it called, the foreign department, basically, because I was the Chinese speaking teacher up there at the university I was working at. And there was a new teacher that showed up, and he was a really nice guy, and I got along with him really well, and we became friends. And actually I helped him source a motorcycle, so I helped him get a Honda VRX 400. Now, what happened was we decided to take a trip, and his friend came over from America to visit him. Now, I decided to take out my Kawasaki, and he was going to be on his VRX, and my other friend, I helped him buy a Honda CB1. I decided to go take them out to the sand dunes, and this was probably about an hour outside the city, but we kept seeing like flyers and stuff around the city to keep on a lookout for some of these people that had been doing some bad things. And there was this video going around there where these guys would take a Chinese dude, and they would put him in the sand, put his face in the sand, and they were cutting off the tops of his fingers, kind of like the Japanese Yakuza do, and kicking him and doing all this other kind of stuff. And they're covered in gold chains, and there's this really fat guy, and this guy with cigarette burns everywhere. And it was going viral kind of back then, when smartphones were kind of just starting to become really popular. And we saw these flyers, so keep on the lookout for these bandits on the way to Dachi, which is this really scummy place about an hour away, but it was near the sand dunes we were going to. And so we were riding, and I stopped for a cigarette back when I smoked. And I stopped for a cigarette, and we're kind of right near the entrance to the sand dune area. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, on this big, you can picture this sandy, big, long road. Out of nowhere, this Toyota Land Cruiser Prado shows up, right? And its license plates are covered with a camouflage type covering so that the police can't see their license plate, or they can speed through speed cameras on the highway and whatnot. And they pull up real fast, and they stop right next to us. And I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, and they roll down the windows, and there's about 6 guys, as I recall, there's about 6 guys in the car. And I could see 2 of them very clearly. And one of them was this shirtless, massive, fat guy with this huge gold chains on. Just the scummiest looking guy you've ever seen in your life. And the other guy in the back was this guy that was holding something down here. I couldn't tell what it was. And he had a row after row, I think there were 9 cigarette burns on his arm. Now, spoiler alert, a bunch of our Mongolian friends, when we got drunk with them, told us that Mongols and kind of like bad mafia type brawlers will do that when they kill someone, and they'll add that to their row. Don't know if this is the case here, but that was enough to put the fear of God in me at that point. And they look at me and they look at my friends and they start saying stuff in the local dialect of Baotou, which is called Sidiwa. It's a dialect of Jin Chinese. And I don't know what they're saying, so I reply in Mandarin. They're like, oh, you speak Chinese. And the guy with the cigarette burns goes, how much do you want for, how much was your motorcycle? And I was like, I can't tell, I'm not gonna say this because it's gonna make it more valuable to them. They probably want it, right? One of the people that we were with, one of the Chinese people we were actually with, she remains unnamed, shouts the price at him. And they're like, sell it to us. Sell us all your bikes. And I was like, I know what that means. Now, I'm gonna go back and de-spoiler this, this whole aspect of it. What happened was these bandits were actually famous for stealing vehicles and famous for stealing nice things like motorcycles and stuff like that. And they're like, where are you going? We're gonna buy your bikes. And I know what they mean, right? So the Chinese girl that was with us at the time, she goes, oh, we're going to the sand dunes here. We're at the entrance right now. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Are you kidding me, right? Keep in mind, there's no one around to help us, right? So they're like, okay. And they like headline us off. So I follow them for a little while, and I didn't tell my friends. I just hoped to God that they would follow me, because I knew this could potentially be a really, really, really bad situation. And they follow me, and then I turn back on the road and I just gun it. I, at one point, was going like 180 to 200 kilometers an hour on this straight line road through the desert, screaming down the road. And my friends are like, oh shit, and they start following me too. And the Land Cruiser Prado, I look in the back because I'm gunning it, right? And it turns right around and starts chasing us down this road. And I don't know what I was doing, but I shouldn't be going that fast on that road, but I was just so damn scared. I was like, I'm actually running from these guys now, right? Thankfully, my bike was wicked fast, but my friend's bike, the Honda VRX, it wasn't that fast, but it was fast enough to go, even like 130, 140. Anyway, we're just gunning it, and these roads are pretty bad, so I'm going like 180 kilometers an hour on these like really crazy bumpy roads, and these guys are just chasing us, and they're driving off. Like if there's something in the way, they would drive off, and like I could still see in my rearview mirror, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. So I decided not to look in the mirrors anymore. I just crouched down, I just went for it. I just gunned it down that road. I probably drove for, God, I don't even know, like maybe 40 minutes or something, but time just stood still at that point. I was so terrified. So basically, at the end of the day, I ended up, when I lost everyone, actually, I turned off at this gas station, this petrol station, and I hid behind it. And there were still sand dunes like ages and ages, like for ages and ages. And my friends actually caught up to me, thank God. And the Land Cruiser Prado, we were behind the gas station. They didn't, thank God, did not stop at the gas station. They just kept ripping down the road, right? Now, we were so paranoid that we just, when we met up, we just kept driving down into the sand dunes. So I'm on a sports bike. So is my friend, and my other friend's on a cruiser, and we're just driving in sand dunes, like down, just down, like into these sand dunes, like the Sahara Desert, it looks like. And it's almost impossible. We keep going and going. We're just too scared. I don't know why we're doing that. And finally we stop. The sun's going down, and we're stuck in this desert. There's no way we're gonna get our bikes out of this. It's just like, I feel like my life is over, and it's only a matter of time before someone figures it out, right? About where we are. So, long story short, we just push and push and push and push our bikes until we find a couple like houses and stuff, and they kind of had a path carved out. We eventually got on the road, and we wanted to head back to Baotou and kind of decompress, but I realized something, that there's only one in and one out for the city, right? So we're just going to be going back into potential just danger. And if they've tipped off anyone to look out for our bikes on the road, we know we are game over, right? So we ride and we ride and we ride, and I said, just don't, honestly guys, every man for himself, just don't stop. Just don't stop until we get to the city. And we did, and we rode. And there was a bunch of cars and really bad looking people, and also more Land Cruiser Prados that were kind of lined up, like looking around, standing there, leather jackets on the side of the road and stuff. And we managed to avoid everything, and we got back into the city, and we went to our favorite barbecue spot. We got a bunch of baijiu, we got really drunk, we ate tons of meat, and we were just like, dude, that was terrifying. That was so terrifying, right? Now, this is the preface to the real story. That's the kind of stuff that was happening to me up there, and it really just, it changed me because I hated it at the time, but every time we would revisit that story or every time something like that would happen up there, we became like, I don't know, hardened to it or something. To the point where when I actually left Inner Mongolia and came back to Huizhou in Guangdong, I almost craved things like that. So Huizhou to me, it was so, although it's like pretty famous for crime and things like that, it's not weird crime like that, it's very organized, you know, Mafia, triad type stuff. So you don't see that kind of stuff anywhere. So this is how stupid I was. When I came back, a couple of my friends visited me and we were drinking and we went to a club and we were like, dude, this club is so boring. Everyone's so boring. Nobody's doing anything interesting or exciting, you know? Nobody's even dancing. Nobody's even drinking that much at this club. So we decided to order a bunch of booze and we wanted to look like bad dudes. And so people came up to kind of drink with us and say hi and stuff. And I told them, well, we told them that we were in the Russian Mafia and we were down here to meet some sort of leader or something. And the next thing you know, I can't believe how stupid I was to say something like that. But it was like we were just looking for, not trouble, we just wanted some excitement, you know? And the next thing you know, we got a table full of booze for free. They're pushing women at us. All these people are whispering behind the bar and stuff. They have all these like escort girls around us and stuff. Everyone's like pulling us to the dance floor. They're like cheersing us, and everyone's like passing us around the tables and being like, "Oh, welcome, welcome," and like bowing and like being really respectful and stuff. And I was like thinking back on this, like I'm actually appalled and super embarrassed that I did something like that. But I guess that's one of those moments when you realize before age 25 your frontal lobe is not fully developed and your decision-making skills aren't all there. But it was really fun, and it kind of just, I just remembered that the other day. I was in the shower and I was like, I can't believe it, that's just ridiculous. Why would I do that? That's so stupid. But I do miss a lot of aspects about Inner Mongolia, and I don't think I'll ever forget about it. But anyway, I just wanted to share some stories with you guys. It's getting to the point where I've been in China for almost 7 years, and I want to kind of unload on some of the stuff that happened throughout my journeys and travels and living here. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If not, leave a comment. Let me know that you don't want this kind of content anymore. But anyway, Laowinners, thank you so much for listening, and I hope I see you next time.